Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another lesson with us here at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're going back to school.
That's right. We're talking about my least favorite subject.
That would be math.
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about math. Now, I know that many of you, of course, know math.
Right.
But do you know the operations in English?
Many people find it hard to find the right words to talk about math in English.
Right. So that's what we're going to be looking at today.
And we'll also look at some names that you can call people who are really smart.
So let's listen to our dialogue for the first time, and then we'll come back and look at those math words.
All right, children, let's review. Tommy, pay attention.
Sorry, Miss Cadlick.
Crystal, now tell me. What's 4 plus 11? 15.
Miss Cadlick always asks Crystal. She's such a teacher's pet.
Okay, and what about 56 minus 60?
Negative 4.
Very good. 12 times 12?
Very good. Suck up.
144.
0 divided by 1?
0.
How did you know that? Smarty pants, the square root of 2.
Bet you're not going to get that one, know-it-all.
1.4, 2135.
All right, so that's one smart little girl, huh?
Yeah, pretty smart. Actually, smarter than me in math.
All right, so let's take a look at some of those words that the teacher used to ask her about certain operations in
Language takeaway.
So like we said, you guys know how to do math and you know the words in your language, but maybe in English, it's a little bit harder to find the right words. So let's look at those now.
Okay, so let's look at the first question that she asked. What's
4 plus 11.
Okay, plus.
Plus.
All right. So 4 plus 11, Erica, is?
Let me take a look at here.
15. Okay, so we are adding, right?
Yes.
So that's how you would say. Let's go with an easy one. 2 plus 2, 4, right?
Yep.
Or 5 plus 5.
10.
10.
I'll
Okay.
drink
You're really testing my skills.
So that's how you would add numbers.
Now, what about taking away numbers?
Okay. So taking away or subtracting. All right, let's test you again. In the dialogue, she said 56 minus 60.
56 minus 60 equals negative 4.
Okay, minus. So that's negative, right?
Minus.
So, and of course, if you have 56 apples and you take away 60, you are left with
Negative 4.
negative
Well,
4.
actually, you're left with 0 apples.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that answer is also interesting. Negative 4.
Negative 4.
That means minus 4, right?
4 less than 0.
4 less than 0. Very good. Negative 4. Okay, so now for our next operation. 12 times 12.
Now, Marco, don't ask me the answer.
All right, 12 times 12 equals 144. Now, that's multiplying.
Right, or
Multiplication. Okay, so this times part, it's very easy to remember because, for example, 4 times 4. You can just say 4, the number 4, and you add it, right? Times, plus 4.
Right, so times.
Times.
Now, the opposite of times.
All right, the opposite of multiplication is...
Division.
Okay, so in our dialogue, the teacher said 0 divided by 1.
0 divided by
Vocabulary
1.
preview.
0 divided by 1. Any number divided by 0 is 0.
All right, so let's give another example. 15 divided by 3.
All right, so 15 divided by 3 equals 5. Exactly.
So divided by.
Divided by. Very good. So after division, the teacher was very impressed, and now she asked a very hard mathematical operation, especially for a girl this age. The square root of 2.
Of.
Square root.
So let's give some examples to show what is the square root.
Okay, so if I ask you the square root of 9.
3.
3, right?
Yes.
What about the square root of 4?
2.
2. Okay. So now one more. The square root of 16. 4. Okay, so you notice the pattern, right? And I'm sure everyone knows this in their own language, how you would get a square root.
Exactly. So this language is pretty simple. You all know it in your own language, but let's hear it again in English one more time with the dialogue.
All right, children, let's review. Tommy, pay attention.
Sorry, Miss Cadillac.
Crystal, now tell me. What's 4 plus 11?
Miss Cadillac always asks Crystal. She's such a teacher's pet.
Okay, and what about 56 minus 60?
-4.
Very good. 12 times 12?
Very good. Suck up.
144.
0 divided by 1?
0.
How did you know that? Okay, smarty pants. The square root
Dialogue.
of 2.
Bet you're not going to get that one, know-it-all.
So we understand the mathematical operations that we saw here. Very easy. But now there was another little kid in there who was very, I think, envious or jealous. Tommy, right? So he called her a couple of different names.
Well, let's look at those now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency builder.
Okay, so the first one that he called Crystal, the little girl, he called her a teacher's pet.
Teacher's pet.
Teacher's pet.
A teacher's pet.
So, Erica, what exactly is a teacher's pet?
It is the favorite student the teacher has in that class.
All right, so it's always the student that's helping the teacher.
The smartest student.
Yeah. The teacher's pet.
Yeah, and it has a negative meaning in English.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's a good thing to be the teacher's
The
pet.
teacher thinks it's good.
Yeah.
But all of the friends and the classmates, they think it's bad.
Yeah, exactly. Teacher's pet.
And similar to teacher's pet is a suck up.
Suck up.
Suck up.
Again, suck up. What is this? What is a suck up?
A suck up is a person who tries really, really hard to make the teacher like him.
Okay, now we can also use it outside of the classroom, right?
At work, maybe.
Okay, there is always at work, there is always one person who's the suck up, right?
Yes. Now, again, this has a negative meaning in English.
Yeah, I guess in the workplace, the rest of your colleagues don't really like that person who's considered to be the suck up, who's always trying to please the boss.
Exactly. All right, so the teacher calls Crystal a smarty pants.
Smarty pants.
Smarty pants.
Okay, so this is also a little name calling, right? So what is a smarty pants?
Somebody who is too smart.
Too smart.
Who tries too hard to be smart.
Now, this is only for little kids, right? I wouldn't call you a smarty pants.
No, it's definitely for children. Adults don't say this.
Unless maybe you are joking or having fun with someone.
But if you say it, you are suggesting that you're being like a child.
Vocabulary
Yeah.
preview.
Okay, smarty pants. And our last one, and this is also a very good phrase and a way to describe someone, know-it-all.
A know-it-all.
Sometimes you say Mr. Know-it-all, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so what is a know-it-all?
Somebody who tries to show everyone that they know it all.
They know everything.
Yeah, they're so smart.
They have the answers to everything.
But they really, really try and show everyone that they know everything.
These people can be sometimes a little bit irritating, right?
Yeah, very.
Annoying.
Yeah.
All right, so it's not a good thing to be a know-it-all all the time.
Yeah, actually, all of these phrases are not good things to be.
Okay, so let's listen to our dialogue one more time, and then we're going to come back, and Erica's going to tell us how much she hates math.
All right, children, let's review. Tommy, pay attention.
Sorry, Miss Cadillac.
Okay, Crystal, now tell me. What's 4 plus 11?
15.
Miss Cadillac always asks Crystal. She's such a teacher's pet.
Okay, and what about 56 minus 60?
-4.
Very good. 12 times 12?
Very good. Suck up.
144.
0 divided by 1?
0.
How did you know that? Okay, smarty pants. The square root of 2.
Bet you're not going to get that one, know-it-all.
All right, so Erica, you were telling me that you hated math, or you still do.
Well, yes, that's true. I really do hate math. And even doing a simple, like 16 plus 32, is too hard for me.
So you were never really that type of person that's good with numbers.
No, I'm terrible with numbers. I can't even remember my own phone number.
Really?
That's true. I really, if someone asks me for my phone number, I have to look on my phone in the address book to find it.
Well, yeah, sometimes numbers can be difficult. I kind of liked math when I was younger. It just made sense. So
Well, I guess there's a reason why I'm an English teacher and
Yeah.
not a math teacher.
And I was actually not very good at language.
But here you are.
Exactly. Well, I'm Spanish. I like grammar. I'm not very good at that. All those rules.
Yeah, but you're pretty good at English. So
That's all right.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Tell us what your favorite subject or your least favorite subject in school was. What about you? Do you have any favorite subject? Or did you have a favorite subject? History.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked chemistry for a while.
Oh, God. Chemistry involves numbers.
Well, a little bit, but
Yeah.
it was interesting as well.
So come to the website, everyone, englishpod.com, and you can find lots of other resources there.
And also be sure to check out our activity stream where you can answer and ask very quick questions depending on your level. So you can choose if you're an elementary student, then you would be talking to other elementaries.
That's right. Well, thanks for downloading this lesson, and until next time, goodbye.
Other example. Second paragraph in the dialogue.
All right, let's get this deep dive started. Today we're tackling something a little different. It's math, but not like the number crunching stuff.
Okay.
More like how we talk about math, the language side of things.
Interesting.
Our source this time is EnglishPod. They're a podcast for people learning English. And they did this super cool episode about classroom dialogue. And it highlights some key vocab, but honestly, the student dynamics are what really got me hooked.
Yeah, I can see how that'd be fascinating.
It totally is. So they start off with like basic math operation vocabulary, the words we use all the time, without even thinking about it, really.
Right.
So we've got the classics, plus, minus, times, and divided by truly the workhorses of arithmetic.
And it's funny how those terms, even though they seem so simple, they're like the foundation of how we talk about math.
Totally. It's not just about symbols, it's about expressing those mathematical ideas in words.
Exactly. Plus, isn't just a word, it represents the action of combining things, adding to something.
Oh, I like that.
And then you have divided by, which is all about separating into equal parts. It's the language that gives those operations meaning.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
We kind of take those terms for granted, but they're the building blocks of how we understand
Vocabulary
and communicate
preview?
about math.
Absolutely.
And then EnglishPod throws in square root, which might give some listeners flashbacks to high school math class.
Oh yeah, the square root, always a fun one.
Right. So that mysterious number that when multiplied by itself gives us the original number, the language really helps us wrap our heads around something that can be pretty tricky to grasp abstractly.
For sure, for sure.
Okay, so now we've got the basic operations down.
Right.
And EnglishPod takes us right
Dialogue.
into a classroom with this dialogue between a teacher and a few students.
Sounds interesting.
Oh, the social dynamics are so fascinating. We meet Crystal, who's clearly the math whiz, always has the answer.
Okay, the star student.
Yep. And then there's Tommy, who's not quite as quick with the math.
I see. I see.
Do you remember having classmates like that? Maybe you were the Crystal, or maybe you felt more like Tommy.
Oh, everyone's been in a classroom like that at some point. I think we all have our own version of Crystal and Tommy from our school days.
So true. So Crystal, she's up at the board, just breezing through these problems, adding, subtracting, multiplying, even tackling those square roots. It does nothing.
Wow, impressive.
And Tommy's watching, and he starts using these informal terms to describe Crystal like teacher's pet, suck up, smarty pants, know-it-all.
Those aren't exactly compliments, are they? But I guess it shows he's aware of her abilities.
Right. It's not like he's completely dismissing her. He's definitely recognizing her intelligence, but he doesn't quite know how to handle it.
Maybe a bit of envy mixed in there.
Yeah, perhaps.
Okay.
Like he's trying to downplay her achievements because they make him feel a certain way,
I get it. It can be tough when you're in that kind of environment.
And then it gets even more interesting. One of the EnglishPod hosts admits to hating math. They say even simple calculations make them dizzy. Yeah, and you know what? That made me feel so much better about my own struggles with math.
It's comforting to know you're not alone, right?
Totally. Did you ever have a subject in school that just didn't click for you, no matter how hard you tried?
Oh, for sure. I think everyone has at least one subject they just couldn't quite get the hang of.
It's so easy to feel like you're not smart enough. especially when you've got a Crystal in the class who seems to get everything right.
And that's why it's so important to create a learning environment where everyone feels supported and encouraged to learn regardless of their abilities.
Absolutely. A place where mistakes are seen as opportunities for growth.
Exactly. Mistakes are just part of the process.
So true. So true.
You know, it's interesting how one student's success can kind of trigger these complex reactions in others.
Right.
It makes you think about the teacher's role in all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
How can they create a classroom where everyone feels comfortable, supported and encouraged, regardless of how good they are at math?
Yeah, that's a great point. And in this English Pod episode, the teacher seems kind of oblivious to the tension between Crystal and Tommy.
Really?
Yeah, she's just praising Crystal for her answers, not really picking up on those little digs coming from Tommy.
So it begs the question, should the teacher step in?
Yeah, should they? And if so, how do you even approach that?
It's a tough one, right? You want to acknowledge achievement, but also make sure no one feels left out or intimidated.
Yeah, it's like this weird pressure to not stand out too much.
Tell me about it.
Especially when it comes to being smart.
Yeah.
I remember being so afraid to ask questions in math class
Yeah.
because I didn't want to seem like I wasn't getting it.
That's so common, though, and it really highlights the need for teachers to be aware of those subtle dynamics.
For sure.
To create a space where it's okay to be curious, where mistakes are just part of learning.
So what can teachers actually do to build that kind of environment? What are some strategies they can use?
Well, one thing is to be upfront about those social dynamics, Talk about respect and collaboration and celebrating each other's wins.
I love that.
Encourage students to see their classmates as fellow learners, not competition.
Yes. It's like shifting from a race to the finish line to a journey you take together.
Exactly. And it's not just about words, it's about actions too.
Right.
Teachers can model that inclusive behavior by valuing different learning styles, praising effort, not just natural ability.
And creating opportunities for students to work together to learn from each other.
Absolutely.
Remember those group projects where we had to build a bridge out of popsicle sticks?
Oh, yeah.
Total disasters usually, but we learned so much about problem solving and teamwork.
Even if the bridge fell apart, right?
Exactly. It was about the process, the collaboration.
The shared struggle.
But, a little healthy competition can be motivating too.
Oh, for sure.
As long as it's on good fun. Like a friendly basketball game where everyone's giving it their all and cheering each other on.
That's a great analogy. It's all about balance.
Right.
Competition can push us, but it shouldn't come at the expense of supporting each other.
Okay, so we've talked about the teacher's role, but what about the students themselves? What can they do to make the classroom a more positive and supportive space?
I think students have a huge impact on the classroom culture. It starts with simple things like listening to each other, offering encouragement, celebrating achievements.
And maybe even helping out those who are struggling.
Absolutely.
Remember those heartwarming scenes in movies where the popular kid tutors the shy one?
Ah, yeah, those are the best.
They both learn so much, not just about the subject, but about friendship and going beyond your comfort zone.
It's a good reminder that everyone has something to offer and something to learn.
Totally. But going back to that English Pod episode, something that really stuck with me was that whole know-it-all label. Why do you think it has such a negative connotation, especially in school?
That's a good question. It's like there's this unspoken rule, you can be smart, but not too smart, or you'll be an outcast. It's that whole adolescent thing, fitting in becomes so important.
Yeah, and sometimes being smart is seen as a threat to that.
Sadly, it can discourage kids from really embracing their curiosity.
I know I used to hide my good grades from some friends because I didn't want them to think I was a nerd.
Wow, that's powerful. It shows how these social pressures can really affect us.
So how do we combat that? How do we make it okay to be smart, to ask questions, to share what you know without being judged?
It's about changing the narrative. We need to celebrate intellectual curiosity and academic success,
Make it cool to be smart.
Exactly. Imagine a world where being a nerd is a badge of honor.
That would be incredible. Like being a geek is something you aspire to.
A sign of passion for learning. I love it.
Yeah, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? A world where everyone wants to be the nerd.
It's a big dream, but I think we can get there little by little.
So starting small.
Yeah, starting small both individually and as a society. We talked about teachers, but it goes beyond the classroom,
It does. Parents, mentors, community leaders, we all have a part to play.
Exactly. It's about creating a culture where learning is valued.
So fostering that love of learning outside of school, too.
Making it fun, engaging something you want to do, not just because you have to.
Not just for the grades or the job.
Right. It's about that pure joy of learning, wanting to explore and understand the world.
It makes me think about all the times I've learned something cool just from talking to a friend or watching a documentary,
Oh, yeah?
even just noticing something in nature, you know? Those aha moments can happen anywhere.
And those are the moments that really stick with us, the ones that spark our curiosity.
Totally. So as we wrap up our deep dive into math language, or really the language of learning in general,
Right.
what are some key takeaways for our listeners? What can they do to keep that love of learning alive?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to be aware of the language we use.
Words have power.
They really do. The way we talk about learning, about intelligence, about success, it shapes how we see things.
So no more negative labels.
Exactly. Embrace your inner nerd. Celebrate those aha moments.
Love it. And remember, learning is a lifelong journey.
It's not about the finish line. It's about enjoying the ride, you know?
Beautifully said. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into math and learning.
It is my pleasure.
We hope you learned something new. And until next time, keep those minds curious and keep those conversations going.